Hey there, I'm Sarah A. Chrisman, the author of the Tales of Chetzemoka, and it's my husband Gabriel's birthday today, so I'm baking him a cake. This is the same cake that our Chetzemoka friends have for Addie's birthday at the club dance on Valentine's Day in Delivery Delayed, and the recipe appears in the back of the book, like all the recipes for all the foods in the Tales of Chetzemoka. This one is a chocolate cake with almond icing. The original 19th century recipe for devil's food goes 1 cup brown sugar, 2 tablespoons butter, 2/3 cup sweet milk, 2 eggs, 1/3 cup grated chocolate melted in a little hot water, 1 teaspoon soda dissolved in a little hot water, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon vanilla flavoring, 2 cups flour. Cover with almond icing. The recipe for almond icing goes whites of 3 eggs whisked to a standing froth, 3/4 pound powdered sugar, 1/2 pound sweet almonds blanched and pounded to a paste. When beaten fine and smooth, work gradually into the icing. Flavor with lemon juice and rose water. This frosting is delicious. Dry in the open air when practicable. Now the recipe only calls for 1/3 cup of grated chocolate, but I really like chocolate, and so does Gabriel, and this is his birthday cake. So I always use a whole bar of baker's chocolate in this to make it extra chocolatey. And with the boiling water to melt it technique, I find that doesn't work very well with the quantity of water you really want to be putting in a cake, especially since I use extra chocolate. So to melt the chocolate, I put it on the warming shelf of my oven. The heat rises to melt it. If you don't have a wood-burning stove, you can use a microwave if you've got one. This cake will fill one 10 by 10 inch pan. Remember to butter and flour it. You'll want to measure out the flour and baking powder into one bowl, then set that aside and mix your other ingredients together separately. When you add the melted chocolate to the other wet ingredients, it will reform itself into little specks of chocolate that will then stud your cake as little tiny chocolate chips. You might well ask yourself why you bothered melting it then, and it's just because it helps it mix better into the wet ingredients if the chocolate's semi-liquid when you stir it in. Save the baking soda dissolved in water until the very end. Dissolve it in about 3 tablespoons of water, then add it to the other wet ingredients. The rising of a cake like this one depends on chemical reactions that start as soon as the rising agents get wet. The shorter the time between getting the rising agents wet and putting the cake in the oven, the lighter and fluffier your cake will be. When you mix the batter and pour it out, you'll see the tiny little specks of chocolate I mentioned earlier. Most of them will melt in the baking, and some will come out in the finished cake as tiny little chocolate chips. Bake this cake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 50 minutes, or until a straw inserted in the middle comes out clean. This is what Gabriel and I call a top-down log. It's too big to fit through the door here. So to get it in the oven, I have to take out the stove eyes and put it down through the top. These get called stove lids. They also get called stove eyes. This particular one is kind of fun. It's got smaller concentric circles in it, so that if you want things to, if you want things to heat up more quickly, like a kettle of water, you take out the smaller rings and put your kettle directly over the fire so there's no metal between them. Now the disadvantage of doing that is it burns out the bottom of your kettle over time if you do it too often. But it does heat things up more quickly. While the cake bakes, mix up your almond icing. You can buy almonds already blanched and ground as almond meal or almond flour. The icing recipe I read out to you at the beginning of this video bears a wonderful resemblance to marzipan. When your cake test's done, turn it out and put on the icing while it's still warm. The heat from the warm cake will help the icing harden. Ta-da! Happy birthday!
Thank you, my darling.
You're welcome.
It looks excellent.
Good. Many years may come and go, many faces meet the sight, but among them none can show one like you to me so bright. Happy birthday. Mwah.
So, let's see. You like the corners.
I do like the corners.
There you go. And I like the middle.
Yes.
Still warm.
Yes. Warm cake. Mwah. Happy birthday. Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a nice thumbs up and remember to tell your friends about my books. Happy reading!